This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, Yunkty? This is Steven, your host with Ventology Podcast. I have my lifelong friends, Jake and Brian, on, and we're talking about Strength of the Few by James Islington. Full spoilers. So just for, I guess, full disclosure, we are recording this back in September after we finished an advanced copy of the book, but are wanting to get this out or get the recording out now, and then this will drop 2 months later. So kind of a bit of a fast forward for us. And sorry for the probably poor pronunciation of Yunkti, which you guys assured me starts with a Y, and for other pronunciations, which I'm not going to be the best at.
Well, it
But
starts
yeah,
with an IU, which is kind of like Youngtai. Yeah, and when you
yeah,
say it fast, it sounds like a Y.
yes. All right, so we're gonna spend a little bit of time with the review, but we already released a non-spoiler review where Ryan and I talked about our opinions a little more in depth. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Ryan gave it an 8 out of 10. So Jake, since you weren't on that one, we'll give you a chance to, get your feelings out there. And then we're
Yeah.
just gonna kind of jump into like what happened, what theories do we have, how are we piecing this all back together, that type of thing.
Yeah, I just pulled up my Storygraph review. Shameless plug
Ah,
for
yes.
Storygraph.
Storygraph
Um,
sponsor, maybe.
I,
Yeah.
I wish. Oh, you know
Uh,
what? I wonder if we could get a paid version of Storygraph for free. That would be great.
hmm.
Um, yeah, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm a little conflicted with my 8 out of 10. There were some
Hmm.
aspects of it that felt more like a 9 out of 10, and some aspects that felt more like a 7 out of 10, but they were disjointed enough that it was like hard. I don't know. I like was in between a 7.5, 8, somewhere around there. So
So
yeah.
given a 7 and a 9, you were not sure how to average these numbers together.
Well, it sounds
Well,
like he
as
weighted them more towards, or he was
yeah,
considering how to
Yeah.
weight different
Okay.
aspects.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just giving you a hard time there. Gotcha.
Jake,
Yeah,
what
just so
what
you
would
know,
you
the
have
the
given?
mean is not always the best way to average data
Yeah. Yeah.
points. So to give a
Uh-huh.
true representation of it.
Jake, what would you have given the first book out of 10?
What did I give that? Let's see. I think I gave that one more like a 7, or no, I gave it a 4 as or an 8 as well.
Okay,
So
so this is on par for you.
yeah, on par with the first one. Um, I liked how ambitious this one got. Obviously, at the end of the first one, things go nuts, and I love how this continued that. I love the ambition there. I think my biggest complaint, and I don't know how much time we want to spend on like a review section during the spoiler review. My biggest complaint was it didn't feel like there was enough content for the size of the book at times. I really liked the idea of splitting into the three worlds, having the three um like alternate copies. I don't know, like are they just copies? I don't know how to
Yeah.
really go into it, but I liked seeing the three different vistas, and I liked the different worlds, how distinct they were. But I don't think each world had enough of a plot to justify the length of the book. Like I feel like more should have happened in each. And I don't know if I think we've heard that this is going to be 4 books. I kind of chalked it up to being at the time I thought it was going to be a trilogy, so I kind of chalked it up to being just like a middle book syndrome of like, you kind of have to end on a cliffhanger to some extent, but I don't know. I wonder when book 3 comes out, how much that would change if I thought like,
Hmm.
a lot of this could have been in book 2 and it would have made book 2 better, or like why I don't know. Did you guys feel that way at all? Like there was this sense of like, okay, like give me a little
See,
more for all three of these
I,
plot
I
lines we have
felt I
going.
felt like maybe the opposite, honestly. I felt like there was
Yeah.
too much to fit into each of those storylines that we were jumping forward like in time so much. Like with each when you would go back, like so much would have, happened, or we would have to like skip like little parts in order to get back to like the action or the event that needed to happen in order to move that line of the story forward.
Hmm.
I maybe we're hitting on the same issue, but viewing it differently then. I really only noticed a time skimp in Res. I didn't notice it as much in the other two worlds, in terms of impact on the plot. But for the other, like if we're talking is it Lucium?
Yeah.
Um like there's so much l- like first he like gets dropped off, or his guide gets killed in that ambush. So then he's living on the farm, and then the next druid takes him to the king. There's some intrigue there, and then he's going to like this battle school. Like it felt like kind of disjointed, and to me that felt like I don't have enough for this plot line to fit a whole book, so I'm just kind of putting stuff in there to pad it out. And maybe that padding to you was interpreted as like, well, there's a lot going on here that we could have focused, like we could have honed in on this more rather than try to jam all of this in to one thing. But yeah,
So
I
you
think I
needed
was
all this stuff to feel like it was connected to the larger plot.
not always connected to the larger plot. But yeah, how do I express that? I think simultaneously it was like a lot was condensed into one, but at the same time it was
Uh-huh.
like I don't know. Like did all of that need to happen in that way for this story, or could it have just been, I don't know. Could you have focused more, like leaned more heavily into the Res plot line or the OBTM plot line or something? I think maybe a different balance of the storylines would have played a little better, but
I see. So what you're saying is, rather than reducing the amount of events and like it in maybe these secondary storylines, reducing them and like more developing like, two or three core events, like Islington maybe kept like
yeah.
8 or 9, 10 events that had a lot less substance to them.
Yeah, like there wasn't enough time to let them all breathe. And then that was Lucium. And then OBTM I felt like was almost the opposite, where it was like nothing's happening and then all of a sudden a ton of stuff is happening. That's what I felt
Yeah.
in that world, where there was so much of, yeah, it was like it felt like he can't reach this climax yet because this needs to time out with the other two plot lines climaxes.
There was some of
So
that. Yeah, there's definitely some, and I think some of the fast forwards were designed to be like getting you to where
yeah,
if we were going to go through the calendar, then yes, indeed, like all of the important stuff is happening at the time that we're being told.
yeah,
I feel like that checks out. I'm guessing that Islington like did that, which, like that's a good thing to do. Make sure your details actually line up. I guess for
yeah.
I I certainly would have been okay with more impactful stuff happening in Lucium. I felt like the first half of Lucium was a little bit of wandering, a little bit of mystery, like where is he?
I mean,
How
he's
does Will
literally
work?
farming.
Yeah, how does Will work in this world? At what point is he gonna kind of like get onto a larger quest? Like for sure, I would not have been opposed. In fact, I probably would have liked more events of significance to happen here. Something to explain a little bit more about how Will works and got kind of a little bit more of the recipe that I think worked in OBTM, where right away, Roar gives him a big info dump, which I don't know, it's kind of a pretty big info dump. But then from there, he's figuring out Will, and then there's a disaster, and then he's got to like kind of fight for his life for a while and work things out. Like I thought, I didn't have any problem with the way that the OBTM structure played out, or the way that the Res one did. I thought both of those were pretty good. Well, maybe Res minor, but I'm probably throwing in too many details in this one like word vomit. But yeah, Lucium definitely like I felt like is a little empty towards the beginning. towards the beginning.
Having I appreciated your guys' pushback here because it helped me realize I didn't have this thought fully formed. But I think the gist of it is it feels like the pacing of the three plot lines interfered with each other, and more of a hindrance than I would have liked. And that's my main
Mm.
critique of it.
I mean, I can see that in some ways, but also there was always something happening, something exciting happening in at least one of
Yeah.
the three worlds. So I guess you could say that, like, this world's got it's been kind of boring for a while, but at the same time, from like a larger, if you zoom out to what's going on in the book, like there's always something exciting
Yeah, I didn't
going on.
I
So
was yeah, I was engaged the whole time, but just in terms of like feeling satisfied with what happened, like what was
yeah,
accomplished throughout, I felt like that, yeah.
I feel like where I'm
Um,
landing on this is if you look at it from if you break it apart into three separate stories, then you're going to be like, none of these
yeah,
three stories are
yeah.
like
Feel complete.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
But then when you put it together into the book, and then I think it makes sense, a
Yeah,
lot of the decisions that he made.
and I think a lot of it is when you are writing a series, like not every book. I don't care to have every single book have a perfect like um
Arc.
whatever the yeah like the arc, whatever those like four or five like
Yeah, the
whatever
fifth grade like
whatever
story diagram
rising
thing.
action
Yeah,
climax, yeah,
yeah.
resolution, like they don't all have to nail that perfectly. Like I like the cliffhanger at the end of the first book, and this might be setting up really good stuff for book three, and that would probably uh oh man, speaking of pronunciation, I'm like self guess or second guessing, doubting how to pronounce any word now. Is it assuage?
Yeah,
um
Swaj.
assuage. It would assuage some of my critiques here,
Okay.
depending on how things play out there.
Hmm.
I loved the three world idea, and I loved that you get to see different aspects of this across the worlds. I loved how
Hmm.
two of them he was missing the arm, the third he wasn't. And so you get to see two different ways of coping with the arm loss. And I loved how Lucium was that like a big part of it was, man, the hierarchy doesn't even exist here. Like, why?
Yeah,
Like, I've achieved what I wanted to do since the beginning
right.
of book one. Like, that was really
Did
cool.
you, along that thread, did you view the three different POVs as three different characters or just Viz in three different places?
It felt, to me, it felt like alternate realities of Viz, which it kind of was, but kind of wasn't because they are synchronous, as they say.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
As
they
they say.
could. It seems like they could have interacted with each other.
Mm.
At least that's what Ostius, what's his name?
Ostius. Ostius. Yeah.
Ostius, what
Yeah.
he alluded to.
Mm.
But
So you think we're getting the Spider-Man meme at some point?
I don't know. But it felt like, yes, logically, I know they are three different entities. It felt more like reading branching
Mm.
probabilities, that kind of idea for me
Okay.
in a cool way.
So
How about
I
you?
agree that the concept was or is awesome. In a time where I think multiverses are becoming like, overdone and not very interesting. I think this was like a very cool take on it. I mean, I guess it's not necessarily a multiverse, it's like one world that's split into three.
Yeah,
So it's a bit different, but the execution might be, a
Just
little.
a triverse, we'll
Yeah,
say.
a triverse,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess. But I mean, with that, there were definitely some cons. Like we've talked about the pacing. The other thing, so what I loved about the first book was like, and main like first person single point of view books is that when a chapter ends on like somewhat of a cliffhanger, it's always resolved on the next page. And
yeah,
maybe that's just the
yeah.
impatience as a reader, but I hated it in this book when there was like a cliffhanger in Obitium or Res, and then I go immediate to Lucium, and it kind of the beginning of the book was a little slow because I just wanted to stay on res with the vis that I knew. And now
Yeah.
I'm going into Lucium and Obsidian and I need to do like a lot of like world building, which typically takes place like I think the bulk of world building takes place at like the beginning, middle of book one. So when you're doing it like a lot into a series you're already invested in, sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle to get
Mhm.
through.
Or
I,
I would
I
say in books two plus in the series, it's like expansion of world building onto what you're already familiar with. But when it's entirely new world building for two-thirds of
yeah,
what's happening, then it is a little bit different.
because
Hmm.
you basically get the rug pulled out from under you at the end of book one, and you realize, oh, I know nothing about this world, and then book
Yeah.
two is establishing, like starting over.
Yeah, you
I
know
I,
nothing.
yeah, lots of Jon Snows in this book. I had the inverse reaction, actually. I think my personal preference is to generally not have that first person narrator because I think having or not having it solely one first person narrator because I think having the multiple POVs really adds like different depths and dynamics to the storyline in a really cool way. Um, I think
Yeah,
we talked
I don't want to say that it's bad. I guess it's just one
just my
drawback.
preference. Yeah, yeah. I just have an opposite preference for you. So for me, I really enjoyed the hopping between. Um, was I think I was talking to you, Stephen, about when I was reading The Will of the Many, how I felt like so much more could be explored if you had multiple POVs in The Will of the Many. Like if you had a POV from Lannistia, like the nuance to her worldview and her justifications would be really cool to juxtapose with, the way Viz's morals are, or not Lannistia,
Or
sorry. Man, I'm so bad
yeah,
with names.
Amisa?
No, the his mother, his adopted mother,
Relucia.
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 Yeah,
Yeah,
Reliquia.
Relucia. Yeah, that's how they say it in the audiobook.
that's the one.
Um, yeah, just because like there's a lot of really cool uh moral and ethical discussions and like dissections and gray areas. And
Hmm.
I mean it's not what the book is really trying to do, but with multiple POVs you could like get really into the nuts and bolts of that more, which
Yeah.
I think and seeing the different ways or seeing the distinct growth paths for the Vizes and Strength of the Few allows for more of that. That was a fun aspect of it.
Yeah, I think future books could really be very interesting if the Vizes were interacting and you could see how much they diverged in a short time and how
Yeah,
different they become after 6 months, 1 year, whatever.
yeah. I I think part of the pacing thing that bothered me is I don't think enough happened in Res, and the interesting part that did happen was skipped over. I felt like,
When it kind of devolved into like
yeah,
political,
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I should just say war. Like the politics was kind
The
of
yeah. It
war
was
started pretty suddenly. Beginning of part two. Yeah, the war's been going on for a couple of weeks.
well, and
Or
it
beginning of
wasn't
part three, I should say.
because it ends with like, oh, there's going to be riots and like civil unrest to like, okay,
Yeah.
that and there's all these different factions that have already like established power, and I like where the plot's going. I guess I just wished I had we got to see more of that, but
Hmm.
um
Speaking of Reliquia, she's not dead, right? Like she's coming back.
No, she's
I'm
definitely
assuming.
coming back.
Yeah, with
She's
a
gonna be,
vengeance.
yeah, she's gonna, be
how do you
Vis's
think she made
enemy.
it out? How do you think she made it out?
Ostius probably.
Well, or Lannistia
Mm,
killed the guards that were going to execute
yeah,
everyone. So,
but
she's
she's
down
still
there
stuck
for a
in the
bit, but
sapper,
still stuck in the sapper. Yeah.
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 and that's a genius plan, by the way. Just like it was really cool to see like the pyramid kind of get flipped on its head where you're you realize like, yeah, you have these foundations, but like that's the weakest
Uh,
point, the easiest to take out,
Mhm.
and you topple the whole structure. I thought that was really cool.
right.
And
Yeah.
brutal, right?
Yeah.
Killing people
Yeah.
just because of who they seed to.
But also like they've already been so like denigrated and othered, you know. Maybe not as othered as much, but like definitely like their value is has been deemed so lesser that like a Quartus or above making that decision, maybe even a Sextus and above making that decision wouldn't think twice about it, you know?
Hmm.
So this book made me think more about the logistics of pyramids because I I
You got
was
to build
wondering
your
like
downline, Ryan. You got to build your
how do
downline.
you insert people like into a pyramid? Like if you want to promote somebody from like a sexty
Yeah.
to a quintus, how does that work? Like do you promote everybody under them? Do you just give the will back and then, like
Yeah. Because
Well,
it's
I think that's like what opens up spots where these new grads come in, and they were all what everyone was a sextus except for uh Aquea. Help
Acquia
me.
is what they say
Aquia. Okay.
in the
Yeah.
book, in the audiobook.
no,
Aquia becomes
equa,
the
equa.
she. Oh, Aqua. Okay. She
Aqua,
gets
I
the
remember.
one
E.
Quintus spot.
Aqua.
Yeah,
Yeah. The one Quintus in
but they're not seeding to
governance,
her.
or they
This
are.
is
They well
this
No,
like
is
this
seeding,
this is seeding to somebody,
but I don't think
right?
he's seeding to equa.
He might not be part of her pyramid. Um, or maybe he's not part of any. I don't know. But yeah, I thought the same thing because when I was first reading the series, I thought it was like, oh, they're the Octavi are it's like just a class, like in terms of like their tier. But then like you quickly realize like no, they are a group of eight, all seeding to one individual. And so, and then like there's the three pyramids of military, religion, and is it governance, the third one? I can't remember.
Yeah.
They
governance.
all
Yeah.
governance. Um, but like then there's more than just those three pyramids. There are three big pyramids that have a princeps at the end, but like there's a ton of small pyramids that don't end in princesses, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So so it is like I was thinking about that same thing, Ryan, where I didn't think about the fact that this could be seeding to somebody or not, like, and how does that affect his whenever he gains like a bunch of will.
Is the yeah. Yeah, they're like, holy crap, what's going
Like,
on?
whoa.
Yeah, so he must not be seating
I
it.
guess
That's the
not.
difference. Is that the difference between the Magnus designation on the names? Those are ones that are like if you're a Magnus, that means you are on top of this pyramid.
No, it just means you're, I think,
A
Senate in
senator,
the
I
Senate.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, Magnus, I'm pretty sure is just senatorial because they're talked about like killing the Magnus Octavi. And
Yeah,
so
maybe he is the top of his pyramid though.
no,
Maybe he
he's
has,
definitely ceding to somebody
is
because
he?
the hierarchy does not work where you just have people not seating. It's all
Mm.
funneled into the top, which
But they're not
interesting.
it's not all funneled into one of the pillars though. Because there's eight that go into seven, seven that go into six, six that go into five. There's way more people than that. And that's what a pyramid is.
Hmm.
Unless you think there
All
are
right.
princeps.
No, I think
Let's
there's
mark this
more
down as
than
a question for
I think
James.
there's more than
And
just eight octavi in a pyramid.
hmm.
According to the math chart I saw on Reddit, that's not true, but who knows?
Okay, so the other, I could be wrong. The other thing that I did see from the math chart on Reddit was that so if you are ceding like half of the will that you have to the person above you, that would mean that like if there's two dimidi, then that are each giving half their will to the princeps, then okay, get off me, cat. Um,
I saw
then that
that.
would mean that the princeps has essentially the same amount of will as a dimidi.
Yeah, just like barely
Dimidies.
more. So by barely more than a Dimitis would have
Not
without seeding.
non-seeding. Yeah.
So by refusing to seed as a Dimitis, or however you say that, then you were basically a Princeps in power. Like you could challenge other Princepses, which again speaks to the volatility of these power structures, right? Like,
Hmm.
and it contextually, especially with everyone's vying for the new Princeps role now, um, like if they were at that level anyways, that the power numbers were close enough that if you're just better with will, you'd easily be able to take out the Princeps. Like you're just the same uh level of
Yeah.
power.
Same functional level. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, we're marking that down as a question for James. Hopefully we can chat with him and we'll see if he raffos us or not there. Let's talk about some
I'm
other
sure
things.
he has
So,
charts. I'm sure he
yeah.
has it all
Oh,
mapped out.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
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 You would have to. You'd have to. So, I noted down a few theories from our read along, from our internal read
Yeah.
along. Let me know if you have more. So first of all, uh, Lannistia, like what's going on with her? I feel like we can mostly put it together.
I think they basically explained it. She was messing with that
Alert
device.
system and
Yeah.
was left in there for too long, and now she's connected into the no
The
mark.
other Yunktai. Yeah. Yeah, essentially that kind of thing. Well, I think it's the
Like it's
I wonder
kind
if
of
it's the
similar
no
to
mark. Yeah.
what's going
I
on with
because
Kaya almost.
I'm still not sure if the no mark is working for um Ka or against Ka. I can't remember where I
Ka
landed on
claims
that.
at the end of the book that well, okay, sorry.
The
So the
concurrence.
concurrence, he's
Yeah.
working against the concurrence. Yeah, I'm not
Uh,
clear on the no mark. I kind of assumed that the no mark is working for him and it's like kind of runs things while he's asleep because if it
That's how it's set
wasn't,
up. Yeah.
it wouldn't it be pretty easy for it to just like figure out how to kill Ka and like eliminate the synchronous threat while he's asleep?
Yeah, I there's so much that is still like up in the air because
hmm.
classic Islington loves to just add twists on twists so that way you're like,
Mm.
okay, I understand what's happening and who's good, who's bad, and then every other reveal that switches. But it's obviously like it's clearly set up. No, obviously it's clearly set up. The no mark is like working for Ka, and it's part of his defenses to get to Ka. But then you find out he's fighting against the concurrence, and the concurrence is a bunch of Yunkdai or Yunkdi, however you say it, that are like this like living computer kind of thing is
Which
the
sounds like the
way.
no mark, right?
Which sounds like the no mark. So now I'm like, was the no mark his like, oh, I'm familiar with the concurrence. Let's make my own thing to work my way though. And so he sets that up like just based on his knowledge, or is it the concurrence itself? I don't know, but
Or
that's
was he
that's
like safe in his pyramid with his door of whatever that material is called that only synchronous can get through?
yeah, and maybe that's yeah. And then the whole like not wanting to become synchronous. I'm trying to remember what does Viridius say where the labyrinth was it created to fight the concurrence or to fight Ka?
I think it was created as like a security measure to protect people against becoming synchronous.
Which makes that seem like
Which is why the thing that Lannistia did was a way to like kind of disable the security measure
Right.
temporarily.
Specifically, the security measure being the reason why Searoar had him right in his arm to wait, and like
yeah.
all of those weird, like spiritual things were about to kill him.
Yeah, but also the labyrinth was it was like a thing and then it was co-opted by whoever it like there's layers to it, right? The labyrinth
Yeah.
was established for some reason and then a different group of people from what Verdius said co-opted the labyrinth to their own ends. And I thought that was to I think it was originally set up to fight the concurrence and then the people co-opted it to fight Ka.
Well, so they split the world into three in order to fight the concurrence originally. At least that's what Zero tells us at the
Yeah,
beginning of the book. We know Zero wasn't like completely right about
yeah.
this, at least not on Obitium. So then if they split it into three, then why were they going back through and becoming synchronous in order to what? Uh,
Yeah.
hmm.
I mean, I think it's going to be something like there's different things in each world that need to happen to reunite the worlds together. And so you have to be synchronous to do that, I
It
guess.
seems like there's something special about only having one synchronous person because Ka is trying to kill Vis or
Was he
stop
trying to,
him.
was he really trying to kill this though, or was this more
He shows
misunderstood
up.
propaganda?
No, he was because in Res he shows up and he says, "I would have if I was here a few hours ago, I would be trying to kill you, but now that events have transpired, meaning now that you killed me in Obitium, now
Yeah.
you're the synchronous one, so now like I can't just kill you."
But was he,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, but was he trying to kill him because he's synchronous, or was he trying to kill him because this was set up by Ostius to clearly try to challenge Ka and challenge
I think
Ka's
I
structure?
took it as the latter. I just took it as like a, a preventative measure. Like this person doesn't understand, let's just kill him.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to do with the fact that I don't know if that justifies for me the idea that Ka is trying to kill anyone who is also synchronous, but more so Res Viz was in direct opposition to Ka's plans by toppling the
Well,
hierarchy.
well, why wouldn't if Ka could use multiple synchronous people to fight the concurrence, why wouldn't he just set make it easier for more people to become synchronous and then he could recruit them?
Good point. And also concurrence to me sounds
Yeah.
like very similar to
To synchronous.
synchronicity. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point, Ryan. I mean, it seems like he could be doing what like it seems like Sayror is doing and getting Sayror and Viridius are doing and trying to get people to be synchronous and help him out.
yeah, I don't know. I just know there's going to be at least one or two more one or two more
Rug pulls,
upending,
twists, yeah.
yeah, rug pulls and
Yeah.
twists per book until this series is over.
Yeah. I thought the reveal that Sayror was still alive and was Ruark in Lucium, that was pretty interesting. I mean, I thought that he was dead because Sayror thinks that his other copies died. At least the Obitium version does.
Hmm.
I like knew pretty early on that Searer was in Lucium. Like I could see that coming. I didn't think he was
Oh,
Ruark
really?
himself, but I was like, oh, he is the because Ruark was antagonistic towards people who would have been coming from Res. So like something was influencing them to do that, and I was like, Searer is definitely alive and is involved in that somehow.
You
I thought he,
you
I
didn't
thought
think it
he
was
was
just Ka? Because I feel like the more natural conclusion of there is like, oh, this is Ka.
I mean, yeah, I probably thought Katu. I didn't think Sirar was bad at the time. I thought like he was like
Mm.
with them or something, like being used. But
I
and
didn't.
the whole time I was like, did they ever really find his body in Res? I think there's still a chance because he
That
jumped off the
yeah.
cliff. Like there's still a chance
Yeah.
that Sirar himself is synchronous, unless there's a way to tell. Like unless you would know if you're not.
It seems like something that Ka would be able to tell.
And interesting that the Obitium version thought he was like he says something to the effect of like I felt this like absence or something like he thought he felt himself die. So
Oh,
he
he
must have
did.
felt something else or
Yeah.
like
Or maybe it was the
COD
res
did
one that
or maybe like COD did something to make him like not synchronous, but then that makes you wonder like, well, why doesn't he just do this to Viz as well? Yeah.
Oh,
or
that's
or just the res version of Zero did die and then he would
Oh,
be
Well,
only
synchronous.
that one.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting though, Stephen, because he did say that like he had like this terrible like rending feeling, and at first he thought it
Yeah.
was just the feeling of like, being made synchronous, but then he felt it again later, and so that's when he realized. So he's felt that feeling twice, but he only died, only potentially one copy died.
Hmm.
Well, one time transferring over and then one time for the death. If if
Well,
But
the
Ryan was saying like
this
if
didn't
he
feel
d
similar.
if he did die in Res, it would have been like shortly afterwards, right? And so that could have explained the first time, but then,
oh
hmm, yeah,
oh
I
I
don't
see.
know.
Yeah, because it would be. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so Lannistia is hijacked by the concurrence. That's how I'm understanding it. Whether the concurrence is good or bad is still up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Ceror alive in at least two. I'm I'm holding out possibility that he's alive in all three. I think that would be a good twist. I don't know how they would justify it, but
Yeah. Like why has he been
I don't
hiding from
know.
his family this whole time? And
An
hmm,
undead supercomputer, Jake, just seems bad to me. It seems like Skynet.
well, Skynet is was never dead or nor undead.
Right, but it was a
I,
supercomputer. I don't know, it seems like the type of thing that's like, in order to create harmony among everyone, we need to kill everyone type deal and
Ryan,
assimilate you.
classic.
Ryan, in this time and age, we cannot be talking bad about AI in any form.
Oh, I
Supercomputers are good.
I am always saying please and thank you to ChatGPT, okay? I've got my manners in check. I'm gonna be the
Speaking of
overseer, okay? I'm gonna be the overseer here.
Okay.
speaking of synchronous individuals, Ostius synchronous or synchronous at one point? Yes? No? What do you think? Or like what's his deal in general?
Yeah, because yes, because he can teleport.
But we haven't
So,
seen anyone else teleport.
but it seems like if you go through the gates, you gain like and become synchronous at some point, you gain some sort of added ability. And he kind of says that to Viz, which is why he knew about Viz's is it assimilating or assuming or something?
Adoption?
Adoption.
I
But he
And
thought
can't
I
he
thought no,
can't do
I
everything that this can do.
yeah. I
no, I
thought
know.
he I thought Viz could do adoption because he exists in Obitium and like that's the whole like at the end there was this term drop of synchronous will. So like the combination of using all three will types together, which was how he activated uh the Timu version of the Nomark.
but not everyone in Obitium can use adoption. He can use it there. He can use it everywhere, but Ceror couldn't use it there. And the other Yunkdike or the other people there couldn't use it. They could only use it through the Vitarium, which you are working all
That's
three
true.
worlds. I think the teleporting. I think
Yeah,
what Osius was saying
why could
is
Sierra?
the teleporting adoption. Those are things that happen. There's different powers you can gain by becoming synchronous, and I think Esteban, I already, what's his name?
Esteban.
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 I was struggling. Esteban
All right,
had some
Nacho
sort of
Libre.
power, had some sort of power like that too. I assume he had done it. So I don't know if you have to be synchronous to have it, because you don't seem like Searoar. It didn't seem like Searoar had a power like that currently. So yes, I think OCS at least at some point was synchronous, if not still
Yeah.
is.
And I would assume since he can't go to Obitium that his Obitium copy died.
Maybe, yeah.
And my guess there is that that was Siror's mentor that he mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that tracks. In terms of his like motivation, I'm kind of hoping he is in over his head. I think that would be for a good story of he's like, yeah, we got to topple Ka. Like I've like seeing him as more like a true zealot in terms of his like ideology of toppling the hierarchy. Like and like he wants to topple the hierarchy, finds the labyrinth, finds there's this bigger thing and finds out there's like another layer to the hierarchy I wasn't even aware of, and it's Ka. Like on top of it all, I'm gonna topple that. And then I think it'd be weird if he was working for the concurrence, I guess. So to my mind, I feel like that is makes the most sense.
You're
Unless the
hoping for
concurrence,
misguided over ultimate evil.
yeah, yeah.
I think
Or
definitely Ostius and or Viridius, one or both of them are working for the concurrence, but maybe like, deceived into it.
Viridius for sure gives the vibes of deceived into it. He just got like a self-righteous smugness to him that I feel like would lend really well to that type of story.
He's not really smug, is he? He just kind of more comes across of like friendly, like but I know everything, like I'm trying to
But
help you.
okay,
Overconfident
maybe
earnestness.
not smug, but the self-righteous like arrogance there of like I know it's best. If everyone would just listen to me, things would like be perfect. And I think that that type of personality is really good to have a story of someone being used and misguided by something else.
Mm.
Yeah.
Third path for Osius could be he's not the big bad, and in the terms of like his goals truly are what is best for humanity or what he thinks is best for humanity, and maybe the concurrence isn't as bad as it's built up to be right now. And knowing how Licanius was, I feel like there's a really good chance that book three is going to convince us that the concurrence is actually what we wanted all along. So
Yeah, yeah. It's Cot was in fact the evil thing that
yeah,
oh yeah, he tricked us
So
for the
so he's gonna
entirety of
spend
book
all
three.
book trying to help out Ka, and
Uh,
then at the end of the book, he's
yeah.
yeah.
I just it sounds silly, but it's one of the parts I loved about the Licanius trilogy is that every time you learn more about Caden's backstory, you're like, oh, you're the good guy. We thought you were evil. And the next person, oh, actually, you're the good guy. They are evil. And just
Yeah.
like over and over again in a really
Mhm.
well done way. But
Any final like quick hitters as far as theories or
I like
final
the
thoughts?
idea that the original world is basically Earth. I like that
Yeah.
partly because I'm like forcing it to make sense that there's an Egyptian, a Roman, and a like Gaelic inspired worlds. Like they're
Uh
so one to one that I'm like they have to have like come from Earth somehow. But so I like that idea.
yeah. I'm liking the idea that potentially like so Viz is basically dead without the Vitarium and two of the worlds. I feel like thematically it's going towards some kind of self-sacrifice and like he could get rid of those Vitarium and just like die. I mean, this is like down the road, I think, but
Yeah.
I like that as a resolution of like him recognizing like I need to like save all these people and like one person is not more than anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
I
that. I hope it's
I
not like
think
too like yeah.
well, I think he's gonna have like a similar sacrifice, but the way that book two ended, it's like, oh wow, you just revived all of these people who we thought were dead, which is like, from one perspective, you're like, oh, but that makes sense why Islington was so willing to kill so many people like early on.
Man,
Um,
so many people just died in this book.
Right. And now you're like, oh, Calidus is back. Vis's mom and sister are back. Aiden's got like all these people. But I just know that Vis is gonna come to the conclusion he's like, oh, like in order to defeat the concurrence, I'm gonna need to sacrifice every single Yunkai that exists, like including all these people who I love. And
Yeah.
he's gonna have to like sacrifice all those people who supposedly came back.
Yeah, I think that's set up for a really good similar to the girl in Obitium in that story arc of like
Oh
realizing
yeah,
Mhm.
Kia.
um
Yeah, yep.
things we didn't really hit on, but Amisa, I am I thought it was a realistic way to progress the relationship. It is disappointing there wasn't more. I was rooting for an Equa or however you say your
Yeah.
name
Yeah,
romance, and that was cut short to put.
yeah. That was tragic.
Yeah.
I
That was
was I
tough.
was like, wait, maybe it makes you realize that like there are certain ways that Islington killed people now that you're like, yeah, that person can't come back
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hard read. Yeah,
Right? It
that
just
was rough.
happened. You're like, no, it can't it just happened.
Yeah, I thought for sure he was gonna be able to like bait the guy away and like come back and help her later and but yeah.
It so painful for you guys just like reading every other like Res chapter after that where he's just like constantly like doing things on
I
like his
know.
shattered legs. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that was a
Yeah. That
lot.
was
That was a lot.
yeah, it was
It
some
got a
good
little
tea.
there was some suspension of disbelief there that maybe was a little
Yeah.
too strong for me. But yeah.
Yeah.
but that
And
also
All
then
makes
right.
me wish.
I'm a wrap here. So if
okay.
you want to check out more at Phantology, you can do that on our Discord. Invites are in the episode description below. Till next time, good luck, all you Yunkdai out there. If you get drafted into a no mark, like evil pyramid or whatever, yeah, don't destroy the world.
All right. See you guys.
See y'all
Bye.
later.